Hello and welcome back to another video where we're going to be diving into the world of GPTs. And this video is actually going to be a two-part video. But today I wanted to talk about how I use one of my GPTs and I connect it to a voice platform called Vapi. If you don't know what Vapi is or you've never played with voice AI, that's perfectly fine. I would highly suggest you to go try out Vapi. It is an amazing platform. I was introduced to Vapi through someone I met through another community as I provide automations as a service. I also run a Make Enterprise account, and I'm actually working on making a custom Vapi app inside of Make. So a couple months back, I met this wonderful guy who is very great in voice AI, and we connected and talked about some things. And I've been working on Vapi and playing around with Vapi for a few months now. Another thing that I do is I specialize in the creation of making GPTs, also assistants as well, which live outside of ChatGPT. I actually just hit a benchmark of making 3,000 GPTs, which is actually quite fun. And I think this is actually might be my most interesting use case yet, which I'll show momentarily. Just to do a recap, if you don't know what a GPT is, if you pay $20 to ChatGPT for the Plus subscription, you will be able to create your own version of ChatGPT that has its own instructions, its own knowledge that you give it, and it can be good at a combination of skills or one skill, whatever you want. It's a very, very cool and interesting concept. And you can also connect your GPT to the outside world or outside applications such as Gmail or Todoist or ClickUp. Or in this case, we're going to be connecting it to Vapi to basically manage our Vapi account, the creation of assistants, making phone calls, making dynamic uh, assistants, and other things like that. Now, I'm just going to show a demonstration of how I already have this connected. And then in the next video, I'm going to be more detailed and play around and show you some really cool ways that you can literally just use your GPT to manage your Vapi account and do other things like that. Now, really quickly, for me, why I'm doing this personally, I have a GPT it was actually my like third GPT I ever made, which was a basically a GPT that creates any type of GPT and assistant. It basically builds out the framework for you to build out, these chatbots or whatever it may be, which is how I got to building about 3,000 GPTs and assistants. And this process is actually very similar to what you would do inside of Vapi as far as making a voice assistant. Just to give a little bit of context there. Now, starting off, if you really don't know about GPTs or anything like that, I do have a video called What You Need to Know to Master GPTs, which goes over the main things that are really important, which are really just schemas, APIs, and webhooks. I highly suggest to go take a look at that video if you have not seen it and just give this video a pause and come back here. We're going to skip past this and going into the framework of building a GPT is actually really, really easy. I'm going to kind of fast forward through this in this specific video here, but I do have other videos where we still kind of walk through that process. So I'm going to come into ChatGPT here. I'm actually already in like the back end of my Vapi GPT, but here it is. I call all my kind of personal GPTs my Vapi or in general, especially in the store so people can see them and whatnot. And this is really simple. This is already connected to my Vapi account. What I'm actually going to do is duplicate this here. I'm going to log in my dashboard. And for here, I'm going to go to the docs. Now, really quick, I'm going to come back to my GPT and I'm going to come to the edit section. And we're just going to go over creating a GPT just really quickly. Following this kind of basic outline that I have, I break it down in three simple phases. There's a profile picture, a name, and a description. So we have that here. We have a profile picture, we have a name, and we have a description. So it would easily be phase one. Phase two would be your instructions. They would be your conversation starters, your knowledge and capability. So I already have my instructions here, which really are not a lot. It just has to do with the hotkeys. So it knows that they're hotkeys, and I'll get into that in a minute. Conversation starter, which is demo hotkeys. And later on, I'm going to have this GPT basically kind of be interactive where other people can come here, literally create a GPT, and then I'm going to have an automation where that GPT calls them or other things like that. There are no files that I'm going to upload at this moment. At the end of the video, I'm actually going to upload the entire Vapi documentation into this. I'll show that. I don't have any capabilities such as web browsing, image generation, or code. It's really not needed. And then that actually breaks down phase two. So your instructions, your conversation starters, your knowledge base, and the capabilities. And then we get into the third phase, which is really the most important and most exciting for people, which is the actions, the functionality of connecting the GPT to the outside world. How do you do this? You need to create an open API schema, which is basically the standard definition of letting application know what the API call is doing. And with this GPT, we're going to break it down kind of in two phases. We have our assistant management, which is we're going to be able to get an assistant, create an assistant, get an assistant by the ID, update the assistant by the ID, delete the assistant by the ID, get phone calls, get the phone call by the ID, and then create a phone call. Um, Obviously, I can add all of the API documentation from here, but those are the ones that are really more important to me. I really didn't feel like or the need to add phone numbers and credentials. I'll probably add metrics later, but that'll probably get updated. That was just at this moment in time. Basically, all of the calls are here and all of the assistants are here. Now, what we're going to do is just come to the front of this. And then we're going to get right into demoing and making this simple. So I'm going to go to demo hotkeys. All right, so our first one is just the first hotkeys that just displays all of the available hotkeys. So we're going to put the A command. This is going to trigger the action for the, oh, so it's actually funny that it does this sometimes. I have no idea why. Yes, you do. Please give me the list of the assistants. I know recently, like OpenAI has been making some changes in the background, which I've been like playing around with the way that API calls fire and other things like that. And also because I'm recording this video, it could be like making these things slow. For instance, like right now, it's not even putting in the, let's refresh this really quick. So let's try this again. So please trigger this command. I don't know why it only does that for this one. It's really weird. So there it's now being triggered. Right, and now it's giving me the latest assistance that I have in there. And actually, let's come to my dashboard and then we can see this here. So we have Leo. I'm actually going to delete this assistant right now. Ava, Elena, Mary. All right, so we have Leo, and they're letting us know about Leo. All right, would I like to get any other assistant? Yes. Can you tell me about Mary? Right, and Mary right here. Certainly, right? So here's Mary. Here's her voice ID, which is Sarah, right? Like we have all of that information here. We have our first message, all of those things right there, right? So what have we done? We've gotten our assistant settings, right? I mean, and technically we've gotten an assistant by the ID. And what's actually really cool is obviously this is the ID right here, but also I can just say the name and that's really the ID as well. You don't have to every time specifically come and put your assistant ID in there. It'll just know it by the name and grab all of that information. So let's do another one. Let's create an assistant right now. And I'm not gonna like make this any type of I'm not going to do anything special here, right? Like, and this is another reason why I'm choosing to do this in my GPTs. 99% of people, when making an assistant, are doing it inside of ChatGPT anyway, right? We're going to come and put a document inside of here and say, rewrite this and do that. So, why not already have a workflow in a GPT where you're going to do that here and it just creates it inside of there instead of going to copy and paste? So just like the one that I just deleted, I'm just going to say, can you please just make an example GPT? And in the next video, we'll get into like some actual use cases of making whatever specific type of GPT. Now, I also want to show this because I want to show troubleshooting and things that may mess up with an error with an API call, but just show you that ChatGPT is going to fix it or try to troubleshoot. And it's very specific because it knows the information that needs to be here for um, the assistant, basically, right? So let's see, it's going to try to make it. It's probably not going to have a, so right, we got an error. That's good, right? So it says, hey, look, like it needs to do this. It can't be found. Can you ensure, like, whatever this is, the voice ID, can you just fix this? Now, really quick, I wouldn't recommend just saying that. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what that setting is because right now I don't know it. But this is what, and I'm also doing this because I'm used to this. I create like agents inside of GPTs that do multiple actions and fire off, so it won't just like get an error one time and then not work, and then literally look, it made it right now, right? So the name is example GPT. It made Azure, like it literally did all those things. And of course, if you know the settings for this, or even if in your uh, um, instructions, like you want to say every time this is made, use this as a default, you can do that, right? Like the instructions I have in here have nothing. There's no knowledge base. There's literally nothing here. It only knows from the API. So if we go into the dashboard here and I just refresh this, here we have our example GPT. Even with the system prompt there, I didn't tell it to make a system prompt. I didn't even tell it to do a first message, which of course we would have wanted both of these to be filled out. But I'm just giving reference here, right? This is just an example video, just showing you how you're inside of GPT doing these things, right? So now let's go back really quick, and we've got an assistant. We settings. We technically got an assistant by the ID. We created an assistant. Like, okay, can I update that assistant? Actually, I'm not going to say can I because I know I can. I want to update the first message of the assistant. I want it to be, this is an example first message. So let's do that. Probably going to give me an error because when you update, there are, I think, still some things that need to be set, like the voice setting again or something like that. But like, let's go through it. I want to show you these errors and just show you. right? So it says it needs to indicate a specific model of the provider, like the predefined, right? And actually, like, and this is what I love sometimes. I'm hoping they make this natural. Like, it's trying again. So like, oh, here's the corrected attempt. Oh, and look at that. It's been updated. So let's come back here. There's no first message. Oh, there's still no first message. It didn't do it. You hate to see it. I want to make sure it didn't go anywhere else. I wonder why it didn't do it though. Let's see. This is an example. First message for the ID. Yeah, this was the ID. Why that didn't do that, I don't know. I know for sure it does it, but you know, like when you want to record things and like show it to people, for some reason it doesn't want to it doesn't want to work with what it's doing today. But that's fine. I can assure you that that still um works there. So let's come. Matter of fact, just for fun, I did not see an update. Can you try again? Yes, I would. Let's retrieve the settings of that really quick. Let's see. What? It's saying that it is? Hmm. Let's I'm just curious. Let's just see. Yeah, it didn't. That's fine though. Not too worried. That usually works 95% of the time. So we've got it in the system. We created an assistant. We got an assistant by the ID. We tried to update an assistant, but for some reason at this moment it didn't want to work. But for surely it works and say, okay, like I want to now delete that assistant. I want to delete mind you, I'm not going to put the actual ID. I'm just going to put, what is this called? Right? The example GPT. Right? Let's go back inside of here. Let's refresh this. And 404, right? That assistant is not here. It's been deleted. Okay, so we've been through all of our assistant management really quick. Let's go through our phone calls, right? So let's get our recent phone calls from this account, which is not a lot. So, yes. Mind you, also, it's not like triggering instantly because I have it set in like, remember when I first started this video, I clicked on like a demo mode and I gave it an instruction to kind of walk through these as well. So now it's going to give me the details of our most recent phone calls. Right? It's going to tell you a group of stuff. It's going to provide a URL. Right? Okay. So the next one for that would be get a phone call by the ID. Now I do know with this one, like you do. So let me go on the dashboard, right? And if I go to call logs, right? Like here are the IDs from here, and these don't have obviously specific names, but you don't once again have to go through like all of the IDs. Like it will pull them by itself or just randomly kind of go through them. Obviously, you want to know the ID or whatever the case may be. In the next video, I'll kind of show an advanced example of how you can still like make that really easy without kind of like knowing the IDs, but still like knowing what information it is. So you see, like right now, it's just giving me even the IDs of this right here, which is actually new the way it formatted it like this. I've never seen it formatted like this, which is cool. Like I said, I think that's cool. Like it's like giving you everything you need kind of without even being inside of there. Like I would just press I want to know about Eva basically. And these are the only two that I've had calls, even though there are four assistants there. Right now, here are the details for the phone call involving Eva. So it's gonna let me know it's an right. Now, in the next video, I'm going to show too, like I'm going to show a database of how I'm probably going to, send these into a data sheet to keep track of all of it like this and other stuff like that that makes it, kind of very advanced. But yeah, then let's do the last one, create a phone call. Now I'm just going to show like the call kind of being created. And there's another video that recently got dropped of how you can like make these dynamic, and you can do the same thing here. I'm not going to show that first part here, but in the next video, I'll show that, right? So I think in that video, there was a Google Sheet where you just put information in there and then the call would be triggered, and you can do the same thing from this as well. So, right, and it'll actually tell you like once again the parameters and all of this stuff and everything like that. So yes, I would like to. I forgot how I did this the last time, so I'm having a brain fart. So I apologize. I would like to call Tyler Miller. His number is. It's probably going to do, if it triggers right now, it's probably going to obviously do an error, and I'm going to need more information or pick a specific assistant or something like that. Yeah, okay, error. Right, yeah. So what assistant would I like? I would like Leo. Right. I wanted to give as many errors so you guys can see this. Oh, I don't know why I did that. I should have just did Ava. Probably another error. Probably like one or two more errors, I think, because there's something I'm not remembering right now while I'm doing this, and I cannot remember what that is. Okay, let's see here. There we go. Talk to Vapi. The outbound phone call to Tyler Miller using an assistant has been successfully set up and it's now queued. All right, so let's go back into our dashboard. Let's go to call logs. There we go. The call has been facilitated, right? So that was at 7:57. So perfect timing, right? When I need to go charge my laptop. I hope this has been an interesting video. There's probably going to be maybe 2 or 3 more parts to this to really show some like interesting dynamic use cases and things like that. But I hope this was interesting nonetheless. Once again, Vapi is a great voice AI platform. If you haven't used it yet, you should definitely get into it. And I will be back with part 2 very soon. Enjoy.